Welcome guys to my unboxing and overview of Zotac's GeForce GTX 1080 Amp Extreme. This is Zotac's flagship GTX 1080 and that's for good reason. It comes with their 3-fan ice storm cooling system, and along with that it comes with the normal Pascal GTX 1080 benefits such as 8 gigs of GDDR5X clocked at 8 gigabits per second. Actually, this is factory overclocked. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. It comes with their freeze tech technology, which turns off the fans when the card's not under a ton of load and it's running very, very cool. It has their eco fans, which are designed for silence and quiet operation. Not that companies would make their fans designed for minimum airflow and maximum noise, but eco fans help with that. And it comes with their Exo Armor backplate, so it's super durable. Your PCB won't get damaged if you touch it because you don't touch your PCB, and it helps with cooling a little bit. So what makes this card special? Well, this card comes with Zotac with a 5-year extended warranty, which is excellent. Compared to other GTX 1080s out on the market, 5 years is way more than other companies. EVGA offers for example, offers a 3-year warranty, and ASUS's 1080 only offers a 2-year. So 5 years is really, really good, especially if you're going to try to give the card off to like a friend or someone later on. They'll still have that warranty with them. So like most cards in the 10 series by NVIDIA, and like most GPUs in general these days, Zotac has implemented a lighting feature. Now it's not 16.8 million colors or whatnot. It's 7 colors that you pick within the Firestorm overclocking software, which isn't as good as some other cards that have the full-fledged RGB checkbox ticked. However, it's still good enough, and as you'll see when I unbox it, there is some yellow on here, so I kind of understand why they didn't go completely overboard with the lighting. So what else makes this card stand out? Well, it has a very, very high clock speed out of the box. Both the core and the memory are overclocked basically faster than any other GTX 1080 I have ever seen. This sucker has a base clock of 1773 megahertz and a boost clock of 1911. Well, so that's pretty good to think about. Yeah, that's pretty cool, Nate. So, but what's really cool? The base clock is actually higher than the rated boost clock of the NVIDIA Founders Edition, which is 1733. Now I know that's not how GPU boost works, especially this generation, where both all voltages, temperatures, and power limits are all taken into account. But it's cool on paper how that works, and this card, with its better cooling design and better power delivery system, also benefits from those same features. So its clock speeds are going to be obviously much higher than the Founders Edition. As I mentioned before, power delivery. That will not be what's holding you back with your overclocks. This thing features a 8+2 phase power delivery system. 8 phases for the core, 2 for the memory, and it boasts not 1.5 with a 6-pin, but 2 8-pin external PCI Express power connectors. That will be able to feed the card's massive 325 watts of power. This is an upgrade compared to the Founders Edition's 5+1 phase power design, as well as its single 8-pin. So like I mentioned before, as it's a 1080, so you get all the great features: GameWorks, Ansel, VRWorks, and DX12 support. We don't really need to talk about that. There's not really anything else that I didn't mention prior on the box. Oh yeah, they recommend a 500 watt or more or greater system power supply. So that's important. It might work with a lower end power supply, but I wouldn't push your luck. I would definitely listen to Zotac because this card is extreme. So out of the box it comes. So as you see, it's pretty decent packaging on the outside. It comes in a dual, very, very nice black box inside of the yellow box. So let's just crack this baby open. Nice packaging foam, nice soft foam, good protection. So in this pack, then it comes with a little paper bag, which comes with your user's quick installation guide, user's manual, and a driver disc with a Zotac case badge. Please, like Linus has always said, download the latest drivers off of the Zotac website or the NVIDIA website. Those are most likely out of date. As Firestorm for sure. There's a new version that will on Zotac's website that eliminates a fan ramping up and down issue that occurred when these cards first launched, which is probably still on this disc. So go and download that from the website. It comes with two dual 6-pin to 8-pin power connectors, nicely sleeved. So I'll just take one out and just for the cameraman to see. They're pretty well sleeved. There's a little bit of yellow on some of them, but they are well braided and you probably won't notice. There's a little bit thin, but this is actually a better solution than if they were using Molex to 8-pin. I find that very sketchy. But if you do have 4 6-pins and you don't have any, if you don't have 2 8-pins and 4, but you do have 4 6-pins for some reason, this is a much safer route to take. However, I would still recommend you have a power supply with 2 8-pins. Otherwise, you should just get a better power supply if you're gonna buy a almost $700 video card. So I'll just put that aside, because this is what you guys really came for. Is there anything else? Nope. Okay. Good. There's no stupid VGA adapters or anything. Wonderful. Good job. Good on you, Zotac. All right. So let's take it out of the packaging. Oh. This card is a massive, ginormous hulk of a card, guys. I can't even get it out of the packaging. We'll be right back. Well, so we got the card out of the box now. So as you can see, it's very, very big. I have pretty big hands, and it's taking up pretty much my entire hand. So this card is it will take up 3 slots in 3 PCI Express slots on your case. Even though it's only a 2.5 slot card, it will hang over into the 3rd slot, making that slot useless. So be sure of that. This card is extremely heavy. It's basically all metal, as you can see. I'm banging on this back plate. It's a very, very, very solid feeling card. I felt some very flimsy video cards before that kind of bend when you put them in. This card does not feel like it will do that, which is awesome. Another thing you'll notice on the back plate right here, you'll see this power boost. Those are some extra capacitors that will help provide better power delivery to the core itself, and will prevent any ripple. It'll help. It's more of like a ripple suppression. So your card will get clean power to the core and the voltage regulators, and which will help, in theory, with overclocks. Another thing is here, there's a little LED that will tell you that both power connectors are working properly and are plugged in. It'll be green, it'll be red when it's not working, and green when it is. Over on this side, you have your standard PCI Express Gen 3 6x16 slot. Over here, you have your SLI connectors, which is this card does support 2-way SLI. I don't necessarily recommend it with this particular 1080, but if you did have a case that was huge, maybe like an XL ATX motherboard that happened to have really good spacing and you could support 2 huge cards like this without them being right up next to each other, that would be good. It has a maximum of 2-way SLI safely, and it's high band and requires a high bandwidth memory bridge for maximum performance, although there has been testing on other channels that show that this isn't really the case. Alright, moving on to I/O. So back here we have DVI, we have DVI-I, we have 1, 2, 3 DisplayPort connectors, and we have HDMI 2.0. These DisplayPort connectors, you can use 2 of them, and you can support up to 8K off of a single card, which is really cool, because that's DisplayPort, I believe it's 1.3 or 1.4 that supports that. HDMI 2.0 supports up to 4K with 60 Hz, and DVI is there for your other monitors, up to 1440p. One feature that is not on a spec sheet that I personally find attractive is when companies put the time or the thought process of putting these stupid barcodes. Don't zoom in too close because I don't want the model number, like the exact serial number taken. But when they put these serial numbers here, Because when it's in your case, you won't see it. It's not on the top, and it's not on the side. If you're not, this is a message to all video card manufacturers. If you're not gonna take the time to put the sticker straight on the back plate, put it back here so no one sees it. I've seen this is not 2011 anymore. People care about the aesthetics of their cards, and when you have a barcode sticker going off in a diagonal pattern because it was just slapped on there, that's not acceptable anymore. I want to see manufacturers put it over here where you can't see it, or at least make it like blend in with the back plate, like background, and put it straight. Sorry, that rant is done, but that's me personally. That's something that's always bothered me with certain cards that like they don't take time. Anyway, okay. So here's the controversial push the limit logo with the yellow on the back plate. For a card that does have multicolored LEDs, I don't necessarily think the yellow fits. However, it's not that much, and for me, I'm actually going to be running this in my system, and I run UV LEDs that are have like a purplish tint, and I do have I have a lightsaber over there that's purple, and I did hold it up to that, and it became like kind of an orange, fiery red orange color, which would fit in my system color scheme a little bit better than this bright yellow, and that's just me. It will work only with very certain color schemes, so keep that in mind. This push the limit logo does light up with the Spectra lighting app within Firestore, so that'll light up. The Zotac logo right here lights up, and the LEDs here, and here will light up, giving you some of that underglow to the bottom of your case. So I mentioned earlier that size is a major thing with this card. This card has a total length from back to the front of the card of 12.8 inches. That's about 325 millimeters. That is huge. Make sure your case can support this. You require a pretty decent mid-tower with good airflow and basically a big enough case to support this. This card is super long, so this backplate, so it will sag. You will see some video card sag when it's in its PCI Express slot. So I do recommend this card with one of if you're going to be building a new system, getting a motherboard with like one of those reinforced PCI Express slots with the metal around the outside to help support that. Maybe getting like a PCI Express support bracket for underneath it. I mean, it's not really a huge issue, but this card is really heavy. So if you really care about that sort of stuff, that might be something to look into. It also is a very fat card. So this is not recommended for small form factor systems. This thing's 5.8 inches width from here to here. So just to keep that in perspective, that's really big. For perspective, here is an Intel stock cooler. Just to keep this in perspective, here's an Intel stock cooler. If you guys know how big that is. It fits inside the video card like that. This is not a tiny card. Keep that in mind. I know the Intel stock cooler is not big, but a lot of you know that size. So I just wanted to keep that in perspective. So that about wraps it up. I will be doing a performance overview as soon as it's in my system. I'll be doing some benchmarks, and you'll see my entire system benchmark as well, because we are doing a build guide, well, not really a build guide, but a build vlog for a very cool white system later on this next upcoming month. So stay tuned for that. That is going to be very cool, and it's going to be featuring some of the parts we're going to be talking about very soon. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this content, be sure to support this channel by hitting the subscribe button below and liking it or disliking it or commenting about how your feelings are, because it's the internet and your feelings are important. So, yeah, see you next time.